welcome to Hack the Real Size podcast with Heather, Ashley, and myself, Keira, where we like to delve into the personal journeys of people in the entertainment industry, along with a little bit of cheeky banter. And this week, we are very, very excited because we have the star of stage and screen, and a producer and an author of this book, which we've all been working our way through, Work and
I have it.
Four-letter words. As well as star of The Last Kingdom and Casino Royale, and a Brit favourite, Peak Practice.
Woohoo!
Yes, love it. Mr. Joseph Millson. How are you today, Joseph?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, I'm really happy to be here. I'm good, considering the mad world we live in. Yeah, very well. Yeah.
Ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah.
And you're in the UK like myself, so you're locked down and bored and going through the alcohol cabinet, no doubt?
Yes, indeed. Yes, trying to keep the booze to a weekend activity.
Are you? That's very...
The weekend has occasionally started on a Thursday, but yeah, I'm still managing to keep it a weekend activity, yeah.
We're doing the same, but my weekend happens to be 7 days long.
That's right, that's fine, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Week on. Yeah.
That's just what it's like. As we said, we divide the podcast tend to be into 3 parts. Myself asking the ridiculous, silly questions, because I like to get to know people's personalities, and then Ashley taking on the career part, and Heather talking about the way people prepare for roles and things. So, are you ready for
I'm so ready.
Keira insanity, yeah?
Ready as I'll ever be.
You can pass on any of the questions. You can flip it around and ask us if you want to, but I don't think our answers would be any more brilliant than yours.
Okay.
We have perfect faith in you.
Brilliant. I'm ready.
So first, before we start, do you have any little quirks you like to talk about? Because I like to ask our guests if they've got anything.
Okay. Well, I mean, if anyone follows my social media, they will know this, but people who don't do social media won't know this probably, is that I am a skateboarder first and an actor second. If only I could earn money doing it. So my life is, skateboarding has been my life for about 35 years.
Really?
Every week of my life for that entire time. God bless my wife, we have a very tiny garden, really tiny, and 80% of it is taken up by our skateboard ramp. So there you go, there's that. And I sleep with a pillow over my head sometimes. So I'm very, if you want to suffocate me, we're already halfway there.
Just gonna lay on it.
Why do you sleep with the pillow on your head?
Really nice, you should try it. It's like, so you've got one pillow under your head.
Okay.
You're sideways, and this one is over, but you can still breathe, and it's just nice.
So you're basically a filling in a
Yes,
sandwich.
Yeah, exactly. I'm a pillow sandwich filling. That's it.
Well, that can be on your CV.
There you go.
So, starting off, just a little throwback to your youth and something you talk about in your book about surviving on potatoes and milkshakes.
Uh-huh.
If you could only have one of them.
Oh, potato or milkshake?
Yeah.
Oh, well, life has changed. The answer to this would have been milkshake. It is now potato.
Mm.
Let's see that.
We can go into it, but it's potato now.
What's your favourite kind of potato?
Yeah, I also don't really do dairy, so I'd have to get really poncy and go, listen, can I have some oat milk on that milkshake? So, potato. Yeah.
Are you a roasty fan or a chip fan?
Yeah, no, the best potatoes on earth are grown in a bucket in the garden, and then when you get them out of your bucket in the garden that day, and like new potatoes from your own little, I say we've got no garden, but we will grow buckets of stuff. And then you cook them that day, and just a bit of butter and salt and pepper.
Ooh.
Oh my.
Very green-fingered of you. I think I've tried to grow potatoes once and they all died.
You'll have put too many planters in.
I have no idea.
Normal size bucket, it's only 2 or maybe 3 of the little seeding potatoes, and then that will give you about 25 potatoes.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
There you go. You came in for acting stuff.
Exactly. I get so much.
Farmers.
That's me. That was my nickname at drama school as well. There you go. You can have that one. My nickname at drama school was Farmer Joe.
Oh.
Because I grew up in deep, dark Berkshire, which is just, Hicksville, England. Little village. I grew up in a village called Stanford Dingley. It's like something out of The Hobbit. And then I moved from Stanford Dingley to Upper Bucklebury. I mean, I'm not making these up. Now, I came to drama school with a proper, farmer accent. It was genuine. My whole family spoke like that. And they just went, all right, Farmer Joe. And that was my nickname.
Aww. And then you lost the accent and got.
Well, that's only I didn't try to lose it. That's just from living in London. Eventually you live, so I don't live in London anymore, but I lived there long enough that you lived away from that area longer than you grew up in an area. Yeah. And I didn't try to, but it started to vanish a bit. It comes back when I'm around members of my family who still sound like that.
I love that. I just imagine it.
Well, sometimes if I'm quite cross, I actually get a bit fruity and you don't sound very scary. You actually, it's like a farmer going, get off my land.
Isn't it funny how when people get angry, their natural accent comes through? I used to love watching Ian Hart on The Last Kingdom when he was Yoka, and when he got angry, he went really scouse. I used to love it. That was brilliant. What song captures the essence of your first sexual encounter?
Why does it always rain on me? I don't know. It's a good one, isn't it? Let's say that.
Fair enough. There's many ways you could take that. I'm just going to say it was atmospheric and it was raining.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay, that's fair enough. What's the most embarrassing thing you've ever worn? This could be for personal, it could be for professional.
Okay, I once was dressed as it's in the book, but it's true. I was once dressed as that's not mine, is it? Beeping. I'm dressed as a human tennis court. A green Velcro suit with tennis balls and things stuck to it, wandering around Wimbledon, speaking poetry to the people going in and out and eating their strawberries for like £10 for a day as a between job acting job for Nike, advertising Nike. What were they thinking? Wow. And I just got strawberries and cucumber thrown at me all day. I'll never forget.
It's pretty harsh.
There you go.
Rude.
And it turned out none of the other people hired to do it learnt the poems. They said, you've got to learn these poems. I was like, these awful poems about tennis. And they all just dived. They were all down the pub in their green Velcro suits. And I was wandering around diligently doing it.
We're more for them, eh?
Yeah, exactly.
Suffered for your art, even in the rubbish jobs.
Yeah.
Do you have a useless talent?
Oh, many. Acting. Useless talent. Yeah, I can. There's no use for people listening to the podcast. In fact, I can't do it now because I can do a thing with my eyes, which is a party trick, which is I can fold my. You'll have to take my word for it, or get back in touch with me for a second round where I'll do it for you. I can fold my bottom eyelids in without touching them.
Without touching them?
Yes, so I'll have a go. Listen, this is terrible on radio.
Well, it's exclusive.
It's gonna be on YouTube and.
Okay. You might have to go close. You see it when they pop back out. Oh, wait, popping.
Oh.
It's pretty gross, pretty weird. Shark eyes. There you go. There you go. That's my career ended.
You know what I'm going to say? In terms of useless talents, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, well, pretty useless, right? Folding your bottom eyelids in without touch. What I don't remember is learning to do that.
Do you remember when you discovered
I've always known if I need to, I can fold the bottom eyelids in.
If you need to. So what situation would necessitate?
Well, there must be times in some kind of gas attack. I don't know. I can't think. You didn't realise that the silly round would take this long, but I'd have such long answers to the daft.
Brilliant. I love it. Very deep level. I am loving it. If you could be any of the Disney princesses,
yes,
to be, and I'm gonna really envision this. I'm gonna love it.
Okay, it's Ariel. No, who's the one in Tangled?
Rapunzel?
No, it's not. Is it the main girl? Is it Rapunzel?
Well, this is why I know it because I looked it up because we just talked about this, and I was like, "What was her name?"
I just haven't seen it for a while. Okay, it is Rapunzel. I've been Rapunzel.
Yeah,
just because that is the greatest. I used to think. Aladdin was the greatest Disney film. Just that's the one I watched with my kids. It was new when my kids were little-ish, and We watched it 1,000 times, and then Tangled arrived. I was like,
So good.
it's kind of gone under the radar a bit. Not everyone.
I haven't seen it.
Wow, when you rewatch it, fully enough, my 18-year-old, 19, bullshit, my grown-up daughter, just last week said, I've just rewatched Tangled.
Oh,
It's the best.
It was my daughter's favorite, so I've seen it a million times. It's good.
I based a very serious acting job, my whole performance, basically. I did a TV drama, a 7-part Jimmy McGovern, amazing drama shot in Australia and England called Banished, which is all about the first convicts that went over. And I was my biggest role I've ever had on telly, really. I was the main bad guy. Amazing role. He was the real guy who set down the law for the first convicts in Australia. He invented the law in Australia. Major Ross, he's a real person. Very serious job. Shooting in Australia for 11 weeks. What did I base my entire performance on? The horse in Tangled.
It's a good horse, though. He had a lot of
I
personality.
dare you to look up a picture of Joseph Millson Banished and that horse. I bet you'll see it. You'll be able to see it.
Everyone's like, Google it.
You'll be able to see it. I'm really proud. I got that horse down.
Yeah.
What's he called? Maximus.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I think I remembered the horse. Yeah. I'm going to look at that one and I'm going to Google it.
So there's profound love for Tangled. There you go.
So there you go. You'd be Rapunzel.
So my Disney princess would be Maximus. No, I'd still go for Rapunzel.
I thought you'd use the horse. That's okay.
Well, I'd go for Maximus, yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
He's good.
What TV show, if you could, would you like to just climb inside and live in for a bit?
Oh, that's really good. It's either Mork and Mindy,
Oh,
or it's The Good Life.
Mm.
Very old. I don't know if that really translated to America. 1980s sitcom here. Yeah, one of those.
Pencil.
Oh, just brilliant.
Yeah, that was. Is that the one with Felicity? Was it Felicity?
Felicity Kendall, Richard Bryars.
Yeah. She was the pin-up of her day, wasn't she?
Oh yeah.
Beautiful, yes. Oh, that's such a. I think we could all do a bit of The Good Life, to be honest, at the moment. What film would you remake entirely with Muppets, but with only one human character?
Well, that's excellent. With Nail and I, and I think only the Paul McGann character would be human.
Do you know which human you choose?
Yeah, and Paul McGann character.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
But which human? He can play him. He'd be there, resurrecting his role. What might be funny if he does it now. So he's a lot older, and he has to play the same role, but with Muppets.
And which Muppets do you think would take the lead role?
Yeah, so with Nail would probably, instead of Richard E. Grant, it's probably going to be Grouchy. You know, the one in the bin.
Oscar the Grouch.
Oscar the Grouch.
Yeah.
I can just see this being remade. You know,
Yeah.
They're bringing out lots of remakes at the moment, so we could pitch that to somebody.
Brilliant.
What would be the coolest animal to scale up to the size of a horse?
My dog, who is a very small Schnauzer poodle. I'd love to see that nonsense face. Massive.
Oh,
Yeah.
is the dog there?
Not in the room,
Oh,
but he is. Yeah.
just such high hopes there, Joe. You've just let me down.
Okay. Okay. Come on. They want to meet you. Come up here. Hang on. This is Oki.
Legit the best part, getting people to reveal their pets. I'm so excited right now.
I know.
Really thrilled to be on camera. What?
He's like, I was doing things.
We have to do our screenshot with the dog in. We always snap our screenshots. 1, 2, 3. Oh, doggy.
Camera shy. Very camera shy. You had a bad time doing an episode of NCSI Miami, didn't you?
Did she?
He's looking at me like in such a loving way.
I know. He's like, I need to go lay down.
I agree. I think he'd be awesome horse size.
Yeah, horse size, he'd be great.
He really, really would be. Oh, he's so cute. What did you say his name was?
Oki.
Okay.
So his breath is monumentally bad, so I dripped. You are, they've met you.
Your dog.
Now. I'm sending him back to his sleep pod.
Well, thank you for bringing him in. And one I love to ask, because I think it's so pertinent because of everything that happened in 2020, and who knows what 2021's bringing in. How long do you think you'd realistically survive in a zombie apocalypse?
Oh, I do absolutely fine. I'd be the last one standing because I starred in a zombie movie.
You did.
The Dead 2.
Mm-hmm.
It's available where it's available. And it was me battling 3,000 Indian zombies in India, all over Rajasthan for 6 weeks, filming that. It was amazing, but I did get my zombie murder technique down.
Okay, what's your best?
A lot of action in that movie, like so much.
Have you seen it?
Well, I saw the trailer and I was like, I'm going to see this. And everybody knows I'm not a zombie person, but it looked good. Like it looked like.
You know what? It's a good film. As they go, it wasn't a big budget. It's a proper film, but I did most of the stunts myself, so it was just quite an event. But my best zombie technique was obviously gunshot, but there were other strange ones. No. I enjoyed driving a car over a zombie's head.
Yeah.
Head. That was good.
That would be a good one.
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. Well, so Heather was actually a professional zombie on The Walking Dead.
Exactly. That's right. I remember you said, amazing.
I got taken out by
you were properly trained zombies. We were out in all over Rajasthan. We drove like 100 miles a day to all these incredible locations, but I became part of the zombie school because you'd get somewhere and you suddenly had to cast your extras and very quickly train them up. And without an interpreter sometimes, so you had to do a sort of mime and explain the rules, and our director was so strict about it being traditional slow moving. And I was putting their white contact lenses in and helping do the makeup, and then suddenly kill them all, and also my prop guns, our armorer couldn't be there for enough of the shoot, so we had literally a toy gun for a while. They went, we will CGI it back to look proper. It was a disaster. So it didn't even go click like a good blank firing gun. So these guys didn't know when they were getting shot. So we had to train them imagine the gun had a massive kick so that when they saw me go like that with my hand, they had to have their eyes out for being shot. Anyway, but funnily enough, the film came out fantastic. He's a very clever director, Howard Ford, and John Ford. They both of them did it, but very clever. Check out. Rather weirdly proud of that film. Yeah.
So if we do ever have a zombie apocalypse, we are going to find you. Yeah.
I'm going to find you.
Awesome. You heard it here first. I was going to protect us all. He fought off 3,000 of them. He can deal with this.
Yeah.
And Heather knows how they think.
Exactly.
Dream team.
Yeah, they just don't think. They just.
Yeah.
I had a weird thought the other day about why, if you've been a zombie, Heather, why don't zombies, so as you've got someone who's not a zombie comes in the room, zombie bites person who's not a zombie. Why doesn't the zombie ever finish the meal?
They do sometimes.
But why generally don't they? So that people become more zombies and more zombies. It's like,
I think it's a underground like technique where they're like, well, we know if we just bite them, they'll turn and we'll get more of us.
But isn't their motivating factor just eating?
Yes, it is. We're not very smart zombies, though.
Interesting. It fascinated me. I only thought this. I didn't think this whilst making a zombie film. I thought this like 2 weeks ago and spoke up in bed and went, why don't zombies ever
finish?
Take more than one bite?
They probably hear another noise and they're like, ooh, that's something.
Right, better stuff over there. Yeah.
And then they go. Yeah.
They got ADHD.
Yes, very badly.
Okay, but there you go.
Yeah, any noise you hear, you're supposed to stop and look and like go.
Okay, we've all learned something tonight. Brilliant.
They missed the section in Zombie School where they were talking about resource management. So they just bite and move on and let them eat on. I love that you're thinking about this randomly. One morning he woke up, pushed the pillow off his face and thought about zombies.
That's about right. Yeah. Yeah.
The world according to Joe, you need your own show.
I'm ready.
Well, thank you so much for answering all
Thank
my
you,
questions.
Keira. Love
I
it.
am ready to pass you into the very capable hands of Ashley. Thank you
Oh,
very
hi.
much.
It's fun. I'm sorry.
Good stuff. Love it. Do you swap these jobs or do you stick to your role?
We kind of always stick to our roles because I'm the ridiculous one. So
Yeah, Ashley and I kind of switch sometimes, but we just
Okay.
let Keira have her question moment because she gets so giddy about them.
Well, that was marvelous. All good.
So you already answered one of my questions is like where you're from. So what got you, and I know you speak about it in your book, but what got you into acting or musical theater or just this industry?
Well, it's funny because I don't go into this in my book because my book is kind of unique in memoir land in that there's no like where I grew up and when I was a child and blah, blah, blah. It's literally, it's a called work, another fall, and it's literally, it starts on day one of my first professional job. So it's after training. It's, you don't, if by accident something happens later that reminds me and has a reference point to earlier in my life, I'll mention it. But
yeah,
I didn't want to write a wanky actor's memoir.
Well, I mean, you touch base on it. You do talk about high school.
But I will
That's
tell you,
what I mean. Like
exactly.
you did do it in high school, and you did do some internships and things. So yeah, it doesn't
exactly. So I was doing it, but I weirdly, I'll try and do the short version of this. I was not exactly a grade A student. In fact, I didn't really finish high school. I was expelled. I was quite a naughty boy. And I had to get a job at 16. And I managed to persuade my parents that maybe I could avoid getting a full-time job if I went and trained at the local big college, like to be a mechanic or a carpenter or a metal worker or something, get a decent thing. So I went to the open day to sign up for metal work. I didn't really care, just like a skill. And got grabbed by a man in the hall who said, "What are you here for?" I said, "I don't know really, metal work, something." He said, "Come over here." Sat me at his desk and his course that he was teacher on. And he said, "Have you ever thought about performing arts?" And I said, weirdly, I did quite like mucking about in school plays and I had, but it's not something I'd ever, I mean, you couldn't imagine a family that was less involved in this. And he basically sold me this performing arts course and said, "Look, here's the deal. No guys have signed up. I've had 14 girls sign up. We need some guys on this course. You'll be in a room full of he said, they're good looking, these girls." Where do I sign? So I went home to my mum and dad and went, "Have you signed up?" I went, "Yeah, I'm doing a thing called performing arts." Anyway, cut long story short, that was a 2-year course and it wasn't, I was enjoying it. It was good fun. But weirdly on that course, they were the first performing arts course in my county. So they got a bit more money than usual and they were able to do a very professional production. At the end of our first year, they hired a professional director from the West End, a professional musical director, a set, and we had a 3-week run in a real theatre, the Watermill Theatre near Newbury in England. Like it was a grown-up thing. It was really weird. Like we were doing, 20 performances and we had to be at work. You had to rehearse for 4 weeks, 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. You had to be there. And this weird thing happened where my mum and I was lazy. I'd been kicked out of school for fights and things and this and that. I was just kind of lazy. If it wasn't skateboarding, I didn't care. And but I was getting out of bed of my own volition at 6 a.m., getting the bus and another bus, and then walking 4 miles, and then turning up and waiting outside the rehearsal room. I was there half an hour before it opened. And something about that very professional work ethic they had, I went, yeah, I like this. And those 2 professional directors said, you could do this. I went, yeah, whatever. I thought I might with the whole thing about being useful, metalwork, woodwork. That theatre, when I was there, I chatted to them. I promise this is the short version. You won't believe me. I chatted to them about, could I possibly get an internship sort of thing as a stagehand, building the sets and whatever. And they said, yeah, we'll take you on. And pay you something when we can. They didn't. I built sets, did the get in and get out. I mean, yeah, this might be for me. I like this. Never crossed my mind to watch a performance of a show. Just didn't cross my mind. And then one summer, this is when I decided I'm gonna do it. I was an assistant stage manager, fly man, wardrobe, everything, just dog's body on a musical, funnily enough, called The Card. And it normally at this theatre, Repertory Theatre, it's a 4-week run. For some reason, this one had like a 10-week run. So I got to know the actors. This had never happened before. And they sort of adopted me. They were lovely. A couple of the ladies slightly over-adopted me. But well, that's another story. They kind of said at one point, you know, you should be an actor. You could be an actor. And I said, no, I can't. And they said, why can't you? I said, well, I haven't got any family who are actors. And they said, what do you mean? You don't have to have family who are... I said, but you're all related, aren't you? I was that naive. I thought it was like the circus. And they honestly, and they said, what do you mean? I said, well, you all hug each other and you seem to, aren't you all related? And they just thought I was the cutest thing they'd ever seen. And literally, they sort of sat me in a room, these 2 older actors who I owe so much to, sort of taught me some audition speeches, phoned their own schools, drove me to London, pushed me through the door. I didn't even know what it was about. You know, I auditioned for RADA, Central, all these big drum schools, got into them all, not knowing what the hell it was. I went in and went, all right, I'm going to do a bit of Shakespeare, you know. And obviously, because I wasn't that nervous, I think in those audition rooms, the people on those panels, bored to death, went, what the hell is this? What is this creature? So, so I got into drama school. So I'm a weird anomaly in that most people are very stage struck, fight their way to drama school, and then try to become actors. I just found myself, I lied as well, because mine was the only degree in England at a drama school then, Rose Bruford. I got into RADA, but I had no qualifications and whatever. I couldn't get a grant to go there. It wasn't a degree. Rose Bruford was a degree. But then they said, great, so what A-levels have you got to come on this? You know, you had to have certain qualifications. And I looked at the form and it said minimum like 2 A-levels, whatever. And I just went, yep. And I just filled out lots of lies about my GCSEs, my exam qualifications, applied, and they went, great, see you in September. So I turned up, and for 3 years at drama school, I was waiting for the tap on the shoulder, really, where they said, excuse me, could we see your exam papers? It never happened. So I managed to but I got into acting at drama school, which is so weird. I got stage struck. That happened there. Probably 3 months in, I went, oh no, this is it. So it's a really weird journey. I mean, have you put 5 hours aside for this podcast? Because that's me doing a short answer.
No, it's wonderful. I mean, I love how...
Can you tell why I had to write a book? People go, Joe, leave me alone. Stop talking to me. Go and write a book.
No, I love it, because now I'm like, I feel like I did feel like you hit on it, but you did not hit on that at all in your book.
No.
And that is just amazing. Like,
weird. It's weird. It's an odd one. But, you know, it's good because I wasn't exhausted. Like some people are already like they've done youth theatre and stuff for 10 years by the time they get to a kind of drama school. And I was like just going, hey, this, you know, you can actually dress up and be other people. They're going, yeah, we know.
People have been doing it.
We've got like they just gave me a sword.
That's amazing. That's fresh and lovely.
Well, we like to ask, what was your greatest success and your harshest rejection, and how you kind of deal with both of those?
That's really difficult because I've had some humdingers in both directions. Greatest success is really hard to quantify. What I'll say is I am incredibly fortunate, and sort of not obviously in the last 2 years, 18 months, but sort of the busiest unknown actor in the world. Do you know what I mean? I've generally been busy. So that is amazing in itself. The other one is I've had the kind of self-conversation with myself where I've said, this is it. it can't get any better than this. So make sure you take it in, because this is it. Don't miss it and go, God, I didn't really take it in. You know, there have been those curtain calls where I've gone, do not photograph this in your brain, because this is it. I've had that experience like 18 times. I swear. Where,
the pinnacle
sorry?
right now. The pinnacle is right now, obviously.
Obviously right now. Obviously right now. But so it's very hard to choose. I have to kind of randomly select them almost. So I'll try and randomly select in each genre. There was a play called The Rover that I did at the Royal Shakespeare Company that might be the loudest I've heard an audience laugh in my face, for good reasons, when you want them to. There was a not massively successful, but loved by those who loved it, comedy show on Channel 4 that I was in called Campus, where we improvised a lot, and I just loved it. I loved it. I played a filthy idiot. And then weirdly, there have been some radio jobs that have been some of the most satisfying things I've ever done, actually. Radio's wonderful. Worst experience, harshest reception. Oh, I've had some awful reviews that are brilliant. I love it when they're really cleverly, funnily bad, you know. I quite like it. If you believe the good reviews, you've got to believe the bad. That's the deal. You either don't read any, or you accept them all in every direction. And I've had, so I think that's it. And I've had some awful auditions and stuff. So basically, knockbacks come, they're still coming. I'm doing self-tapes now where, you know, a bad reaction is almost, is that worse than just silence? Who knows? I mean, you know.
Can I ask you to talk about your commercial?
Oh,
Talk about it here, because I like the story that you give, like how even to this day you audition for so many things, and then you might get like 1 out of 14. I think.
I've done 3 self-tapes this week. I won't hear from any of them.
But I laugh so hard, and I think I even texted the girls. I'm like, "Have you gotten here yet?" When I read that, because I was like, "It's just so funny."
It's the ball face.
Yeah.
So people have to buy the book to get the good version of this, but yes.
Okay, yeah.
No, that's fine. I'm just, it is an awful audition where, a long story short, I didn't do many advert auditions, but I had to audition for some fizzy drink, and they said, you've got to be shirtless. And this was back in 1997 or something, I don't know. And I had the body of a retired chess player, you know, and I was in a waiting room with all these Calvin Klein models. I don't know why I was in the room with them. And then you go in, you're in your boxer shorts. And I thought I had my best boxer. I was very poor, really. I lived in a flat with, not a joke, a hole in the roof that you could see the stars through, and a big bucket underneath it that I had to empty when it was raining. And I only had 5 pairs of underwear, and I was wearing my best ones for this audition. So, you know, and they said, okay, you're in a volcano and lava everywhere, but then you get a drink, and you drink the drink, mime drinking the drink, and then everything's fine. In fact, you're having a great time. Swim around, go mad in the lava. It's one of those awful advert auditions. So I went bonkers and did my own sort of Jim Carrey mad stuff, and at one point put my head between my legs and pulled a stupid face, and thanks very much, go home. And there's a message on my answer phone from my agent saying they loved you. They want you to go back in a few days and kind of do the same thing for the money people. All right, great. So 2 days later, I go back, and, you know, obviously I'm not wearing the same underwear. You wouldn't. It's 2 days later, right? You know, even though I privately might have worn them for 5 days, I wasn't going to wear them. Anyway, I get there. I go into this room, and there's like 12 people in this little room, and they all seem to be stifling giggles. It's a very odd atmosphere. And I stand on the spot, and they go, oh, yeah, listen, it's great. Can you just do exactly what you did last time? And they're giggling, and you're like, you know, when people are laughing at you, okay, maybe they think I'm just brilliant. I'm Jim Carrey. Maybe they really think I'm a genius. I tried to do the same thing. They all seemed a bit disappointed. I left. I phoned my agent and said, I don't know what's going on here, but that was really weird. And she got in touch with them, and amazingly, they confessed the truth, which was that in my first audition, when they filmed it, when they watched the tapes back, at the The moment I put my head between my legs and waved my face at the camera through my legs, by a complete fluke of physics, my balls had poked through a hole in what I thought were my best underwear, but clearly weren't that great. And not only that, my balls were exactly where my eyeballs should be when they freeze framed it, with my head upside down.
Yeah, I read it. Yeah, I'm still
hurting. So
Mr. Ballface. And unbelievably, I'm lucky I am that wasn't, in a world where that could have gone viral. This was, cassette tapes in a camcorder, and hopefully that's gone now.
That's just
that
brilliant.
might be my worst audition.
Reading it, I could imagine your voice because I've taken one of your classes, but hearing you say it,
It was just
I just, you know what? I need you to do a lot.
I'm going to overshare here. It is a real miracle of physics. I don't even have very big balls. I'm just saying.
I need you to read. I need a live reading of your voice.
Well, listen,
I
have a little studio in a wardrobe here now. I am working my way through. The book will have an audio book.
Oh, God.
Soon. I think it'll be in about 4 weeks.
Oh, okay. Because
actually,
it's so crazy. And I know I keep talking about your book, but it's like you have so much insightful things that I never think to ask, and I never think about like just your relationships that you have with your theater people and your theater family. And I just think that's so amazing. But then you just have these little gems in there, and it's like so serious and so like inspiring. And then you get this story and you're like,
full bags.
What? Like, your first story is kind of like that.
They say everyone should write their own memoir. You get to a certain age, like everyone, doesn't matter if you run a convenience store, everyone's life, you could never script the sequence of events that happen in real people's lives. I couldn't have invented a sequence of events like my first 10 years in this business. And I am doing the second book. I'm getting going on it. And that second 10 years is equally, if not more insane, harder to write because it has a real year of genuine heartbreak in the middle of it. And the thing is, I'm not writing this to do therapy, but what I'm trying to do is write really honestly. And so the second book is going to be hard because it's still going to be, I'm going to use the work as the holding frame, the work, but it's trying to work while you're kind of suicidal. Trying to work while you don't think you're going to see your children again, trying to work while you have no money and you're losing your home, and trying to keep pleasing an audience. So it will be the same thing, but I've got this chunk of it that I am literally, like I get a knot in my throat when I think about, I'm going to have to write that, I'm going to have to do it. But I'm going to, and it weirdly, it might be called Love, another 4-letter words, the second one, because that's kind of what it is, the second one, but we'll see. No, I think it will just be work and even more 4-letter words.
No, I think your book that you wrote is brilliant. I think that me personally, as an actor, love to read these stories because they're so truthful and so, like you said, random, and you cannot make this up.
No.
So we often asked our guests also if we hear them talk about they either have a personal coach, a life coach, an acting coach that they have found have been so inspirational to them. You mentioned Anne Mcnulty in your book and how she's kind of a fairy godmother to you. Can you elaborate on how that was successful? Was it just a small part that she kind of helped you through those years? Or
for a brief period, well, maybe 3 or 4 years where, Anne Mcnulty it still is, but I think she's semi-retired now. She was one of the most powerful, but that always sounds like a nasty word. She was such a kind, immensely powerful casting director who really, really liked actors. I was with a not great agent, but she saw me in a play. I didn't even know she was in the audience, thank God, in Greenwich. Really, I wasn't like a lead role in or anything, but she was good at her job, and she kind of put me. I started to get slightly better jobs. She wasn't the casting director, but I'd be like months into the job and they say, oh, it was Anne who said we ought to see you, even though she was nothing to do with it. She thinks about actors in a very holistic way. And if she can help someone, even if she doesn't know them, she'll put a word in for them. And she was just amazing. So it got to the point where, and then finally I actually did a job that she was the casting director on, and for the Donmar warehouse. And after that, I felt able to, well then, phone her, not email, you know, I could phone her and say, when I, for the first time, had those incredible moments that actually happen a lot rarer now, where, not in a big way, but I might have two things to choose between, like a tour of this little play or a fringe production of this play, and they clash and I don't know what to do. And I had a lovely agent, but I would call Anne and say, can we have a cup of tea near where her office was, and just have a cup of tea, and she'd talk it through with me. And she was like a great therapist, because she didn't really say much. She'd just ask a couple of questions and I'd answer it myself, and she'd go, well, there you are. But she was great. She had faith in me. And you know, when I got nervous or had doubts in myself, having someone like that, not just because of her status, she was just someone who had watched theatre for 40 years and thought I was good. That was enough to have in your pocket. There's someone who knows what and even if these guys in front of me don't seem to rate me, I've got someone in my pocket who does. And that's lovely. But I've had my acting tutor at drama school was a woman called Annie Tyson. She's a very well-known and regarded acting tutor, and she's a great friend. She's always been a friend. She was kind of a friend before I even finished drama school. And I don't exactly go to her for... But it's really interesting. I think about what she might say. So I don't actually do it in person, but she's another one I've got in my pocket as what might her note be, you know? So they're useful people. And she's just a friend now, really. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Another person that you mentioned in your book, and I thought it was very insightful, was Matthew Francis, and how he helped you when you were working on your character as James Steerforth. Did I say that right?
Yeah, you did.
And David Copperfield, and he gave you the analogy of playing that character as different instruments. How do you use that going forward? It looked like that was really like an awakening.
Oh, huge. Yeah, I think young actors quite often want to, they're so eager for people to know how good they are. I want people to know how versatile I am. I need people to see what I can do. Look at all the things I can do. So you get a part, and maybe you get an amazing part, and they are several things in the play. They have an angry scene, they have a happy scene, they have a comedy scene. My God, what an amazing part. But you can't help. It's like you want to do everything at once. You want to show all, and you do, when you're young, sometimes you do too much homework. Look at all the research I've done. Look at all the research. You can't, it doesn't help you fly the plane, is what David Mamet would say. But what was amazing in early rehearsals, I couldn't do it. And he just came up with a brilliant analogy that I've used as a teacher, and I've certainly used as an actor ever since, where he said, look, you've got to keep your instrument. And I said, what do you mean, keep your instrument? He said, look, in this scene, bizarrely, I had to age in the play, you know, so I started with him like 17 at school, still at school. And he said, in this scene, the hero, David, is sad. So he's like an oboe, and all the kids are like loud percussion around you, and you arrive and he looks at you like you're amazing, and you know, you're someone he should follow. So in this scene, you need to be like a really nice a French horn, like something really bright and clean sounding. I was like, what the hell is this guy talking about? He said, so you got, you know, he's the oboe, they're the percussion, you're a French horn. Don't try and be a one-man band. Just because later on you're a crashing cymbal and later on you're whatever, right now just be that. And then you'll get your oboe scene later, and you'll get your, and I kind of went home, and I understood what he meant, and what it seems really obvious, but I think young actors who are trying to prove themselves can over worry and overthink, and it's about doing one thing at a time, you know, just one flavor of ice cream at a time. The audience gets the illusion of a multicolored ice cream by the end, but you can only do one at a time. And that keep your own instrument Don't worry about what the other people are doing. You keep what he is, what the writer has given you. Was really great. And it was just, he was an amazing man. He's not dead. He's absolutely still around, but he has retired from directing. But he was an incredible director. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, it kind of moves us on to Heather's section about how you prepare
Very
for
good.
auditions and for your roles that you.
Oh, you're in for a disappointment.
No, we're not.
Oh,
If I'm honest, let's see what happens. Go on.
We know how
I
extremely.
can bring you up an audition I've got in the morning, and you can see how much work I've done on it. So
Yeah.
So ask me your question, Heather, and I might bring this bit of paper in.
Well, I mean, we took your workshop, which was over
Yeah.
the weekend, and it was absolutely like, it was so awesome. There was so much information like packed in. Like, and
Right.
as you started, and you're like, you're probably going to be like, what the hell's going on? But then it's just going to click. And at the moment, we were like, what the hell's going on? And then it clicked, and we were like,
Did
it makes sense
Did
now.
it click?
Yes.
Oh, hooray! Because great. And it's just like I say to you had in the class. I always repeat myself a lot. I'm like a brainwasher. But or anything you learn in any acting class, they're just tools. They're not things on a tick list you have to do.
Mm-hmm.
There'll be times when you're like, I'm just going to learn this. I know what to do with this. Trust that instinct. That's great when you get those moments. But these are just tools to have in your bag for when you're in trouble or when you want to be even more specific, or, you know, you don't have to.
And I don't want you to give away everything, because I'm sure you're going to do more workshops. So hint, you guys can sign up for his workshop. Through the community.org.
You guys would love the Shakespeare one. That's great. I
would like to do them, but they're never on the weekends. Like the weekday ones kill me because, you know, I have to actually work.
Well, look, I have been teaching acting for 15 to 20 years, so I'm not just the property of the actors community. I'm just saying that with all my love for the guys. I am allowed to work outside of that institution.
Oh,
that's good to know.
Yeah.
I will say that Shakespeare made me cry one time.
Well, there you go. What did he do? Did he owe you money? What did he do?
No, I was learning the scene.
Oh, I remember that.
I butchered it like a true American. You know, in our like 2 days we spent on Shakespeare here, and I was just so completely embarrassed. So I think before I take your class, I need to.
No. Listen. There is no. I really enjoy teaching and working with people who kind of hate it. Brief story. Ready? Sorry, Heather. Yeah. So listen. This is where I started with Shakespeare. You ready for this? When I went to a very big secondary school, had 2,000 kids squeezed into a not massive area, and it was very working class, you know, rural southern working class land, and the Royal Shakespeare Company. So this would have been like 1980. Guess 7, something like 6 or 7. For the first time, which they now do loads, they built a touring production that they could put in a lorry and they take to sports centres, sports halls, and put up rostra and do shows in sports halls for people who don't normally get to see the Royal Shakespeare Company. Well, for our town, they used our school sports hall, and we had to go. It was like, there's no choice in this. You're all coming to see one of these plays. I was like, yeah, I would rather eat vomit. I honestly, I didn't know anything about Shakespeare. The sound of it was like, you've got to be joking. You've got to be bloody joking. So I armed myself with 2 packets of Smarties, which, if you're not English, are small, rock-hard bits of chocolate candy.
Oh, chocolate.
Yeah, are they American as well? Yeah, anyway. It's like milk duds, but kind of harder.
Okay.
Hard shell on the outside. Anyway, I had a couple of packets of Smarties. I was in the second row. It was Romeo and Juliet. And I had my Smarties and I was throwing them at the actors at opportune moments. I was having a great time. And I hit Romeo in the face when he was about 10 feet away. And he turned, he was so fed up with this kid throwing sweets. He ran towards me and looked like he was going to kill me. It came completely out of the play. And actually, wankily enough, it was a real moment for me where I went, oh, that's exciting. That's exciting. Oh, this theatre thing's quite exciting when this actor nearly killed me for throwing sweets. but and then I think I found the programme years later, or when I was bizarrely working at the Royal Shakespeare Company years later, I found out who it was, and it was Sean Bean.
You're Sean Bean.
I'm waiting to work with him just to say, do you remember? Do you know what? I bet he does remember.
I bet he does.
I think I'd remember being hit in the head with sweets in a sports hall in Thatcham.
Oh, that is epic.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is that I didn't like Shakespeare, and it wasn't taught well at school. We had to study it. You don't study it. You got to get up and do it. And it's just, there is no mystery. It's just another play. It's exactly the same stuff, just human beings doing stupid human being stuff. And I do a verse. I love teaching verse speaking stuff because it's not a great mystery. You can get an amazing handle on it in about 2 hours. And then it is opened up for the rest of your life. It's amazing. Peter Hall taught me, which is amazing, but in like, oh, it's in the book. There you go. I keep saying that, but it is. That little few hours I had on my own with him is just changed my life with that, because every single drop of Shakespeare I've done since, I've had that in my pocket. So, it's gradually throwing yourself at this life until you've got lots of things in your pocket, it seems. So Heather, eventually we get back to you. Sorry, my love.
No, that was great, because I'm sure a lot of other people are probably like, I don't like Shakespeare either. It's hopeful.
No, well, look, it turns out it really is the best stuff in the world, but being told that by someone else is awful. It's like saying, hey, listen to this band, you'll love them. Don't tell me what I love. It's really hard to be told what music to like. It's a bit like that, but basically it is true. It's amazing when you get in there. But
when Shakespeare's done well, it's amazing. Can you give us a burst of Shakespeare now? You must have
No, here's the weird thing. I've played a dozen lead Shakespeare roles.
Not remember any of them?
I never remember it.
Wow. Yeah, you remembered like so much of your, sorry to digress onto your book.
No.
I can't believe the clarity and
well, that's my own life, but lines are like,
I can't remember what I did.
the minute I do a last performance, even if we've done 200 performances, it's like my brain presses erase.
Mm-hmm.
And the next day, I won't know the line.
That's crazy.
For the next one.
But people are really different, and there are some actors who can still recite stuff from 20 years ago, and but I absolutely can't. It's like erase.
Yeah.
Wow. So I just wanted to touch on and ask you about how you prepare for roles. In your workshop, you talked a lot about actioning and uniting. So I guess just, obviously you don't have to go into like a whole lot of detail and give it all away, but just some of the techniques that you use to prepare for, auditions or for your day on set.
Okay, it really varies. It is horses for courses. It's so exciting. It's really mad. My wife's, I know we've gone over time. My wife has been acting longer than me. She's, a couple of years younger than me, but she started acting professionally in movies and TV when she was like 13 or something. Mm-hmm. Child actor kind of thing. And she's never stopped effectively. But she didn't train in any way, shape or form. She was, talent spotted in a fish and chip shop for a movie. I mean, that kind of nonsense, and then it turned out she could really do it. And she just jobbed for the first 15 years of her career. Jobs just kept coming because nobody looked like her. She's very elfin looking. Nobody looked like her. So she just kept doing jobs. But it was really interesting because she'd done one play then when we met in like 25 years. But she didn't have any of these technique stuff, but she was brilliant. So she used to feel a bit insecure sometimes around actors who talked about this stuff. And I said, there is no mystery. Honestly, you're okay. But just recently, obviously I've been doing loads of Zoom teaching during lockdown. And through the door, I think she's been hearing these actioning classes. She knows what actioning is now because we've done theatre together and it's been loosely spoken about, but she hasn't done it in depth ever. And she, just today we had a great chat about it. And she went, oh my God, how have I gone 30 years without really knowing this stuff? And it's now, I said, well, maybe now's a great time because that's the other reason for it, is if you're a bit bored of acting, if it's not really, you might go, well, here's a whole new way of making it feel really, it's like a painter who's done one type of painting for a long time. Suddenly going, do you know what, I'm going to try abstract, I'm going to try this. It's never too late to learn new shit, is it really? Hence writing for me. Writing is this massive new, I mean, I had a poem published when I was 17. I wrote short stories for a magazine once when I was like 20, but I never, I mean, talk about not thinking I'd be an actor. I definitely didn't think I'd write. But I've now, in the last 2 years, I've sold a movie, I've sold a screenplay that's getting made at the end of this year with David Tennant and
You didn't even get to that part.
yeah, I've adapted a Shakespeare play for a movie, and it's happening. And I'm helping write another one, and writing seems to be a thing now. So who the fruit would have thought of that? You know, I would.
2020 has made people have to look into different areas of what makes them happy, isn't it? I mean, all three of us, we're all over the age of 35, if we can believe that. And we're all coming into this in 2020 going, right, let's rediscover this.
Well, it's if you're a creative person, if you're an artist, which is a word I'm not scared to use. A lot of actors are, because they think, oh, get over yourself. No, we're artists. It's very odd, but we are. It's a very odd artistic form, because any other artistic form you fell in love with, I want to be a painter. I'm a painter, or I'm a musician. I'm a writer. I'm a sculptor. Anything else. You can go to your basement or your loft or your corner room, wherever, and practice your art. We can't do ours on our own. It's masturbation on your own. You need other people. You need to be commissioned by someone to do something with someone. So it's you can read as many books as you want. All the acting books on earth, I used to read them all, and they're great. You kind of learn ideas, but they don't mean anything till you've tried them out, either in rehearsal or in front of an audience. So but this year, creative people in art have had to find other outlets. And my wife, she's written a TV show in the last year, having thought she'd never write. She's written a 6-part comedy drama that is just brilliant. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I didn't know I could do that. But it's kind of the same bit with storytellers. And actually, if you've been doing this business a long time, she and I have read, we were trying to do rough guides. If you include all the things we've auditioned for, not just the things we've done, how many scripts we've read. I mean, tens of thousands, probably. Mm-hmm. So, we do know our way around a script, actually. It's like, if you've been acting a while, you do actually know what scripts ought to feel like. So, it's a very natural thing. I used to think, God, why do actors try and just stick to what you do? But actually, no, it's all the same thing. Mm-hmm. It's just telling stories, you know.
Mm-hmm. And just finding new pathways.
Yeah.
And so one thing we like to ask our guests is, if you had 3 words to describe your career path so far, what would they be? And it doesn't have to be like 3 words that go together. It could be, 3 totally separate descriptions.
Okay. Can they be 3 sets of 2 words? I'll tell you what I mean. So, because I read your thing and I tried to think of this, and I don't know. And there'd be funnier versions. Okay. It could be 3 things. Instead of 3 words, okay? So self-discipline, mm-hmm. low expectations, high standards.
I like it.
Yeah. Self-discipline, low expectations, high standards. I think that's me.
So what kind of advice would you give your younger self, or someone just now starting to get into this industry? The one piece of advice that you think would be the most helpful?
Oh, listen, go full out all the time. Never apologize, and never be shit.
Never be shit.
Go all out. I just thought of
go all out.
Falls to the wall, and then I thought of yourself.
Falls to the wall.
Well, one thing we always want our guests to do is, if they're working on something that's coming out soon, or obviously, opportunity to plug your book on where people.
Yeah. Hey, listen. Genuinely, it's awful plugging your own stuff, but yeah, I think this book is of use to people. There it is. It's called
All the Notes
and Other Words. And it's on the old Amazon Notes. It's on the Kindle store. It's also on josephmillson.com, and it will have an audiobook soon. So that's great. Work-wise, otherwise, I'm shooting my own film later in the year. I don't know what part I'll play, because they're trying to get other mega stars in it. Hopefully I'll get a little bit. And I'm recording little bits of radio occasionally in my cupboard, and nothing. Like at most other actors, there is zilch out there. I am amazingly doing a few auditions, but I think I've honestly, no exaggeration, I'm reaching close to maybe 30 self-tapes without booking a job now. So I'm there with everyone else, just sending these things off into the ether.
But that's kind of, I mean, and that's bad for you, but it's nice for people watching to know that they're not alone.
Oh, trust me, I'm not exaggerating. A minimum 20 on the trot now without. I have got to the amazing stage of the like recall thing where you do a Zoom test twice now, with like, as a producer and the car. We're on a, and they're so weird. I totally blew a massive one for Bridgerton the other day, and so they're great meetings, but I'm not ever the bridesmaid, never the bride. But it doesn't matter. I'm trying to learn the Bryan Cranston thing and absolutely just drop it in the waste paper basket. Once you've done your job, you move on. And if anyone hasn't seen that, it's life-affirming stuff. That just search YouTube, Bryan Cranston, advice for actors. 4 billion hits this thing's had. It's superb. And interestingly, he is just speaking the Stoic philosophy from ancient Greece there. So actors need to be Stoics. There you go.
I like your philosophy about what your dad used to say.
Oh yeah.
I've used it every day since you've said it.
It's so true. How do you eat an elephant?
One bite
at a time. Yeah. That's probably the way to think about career as well. Like one little step at a time. Yeah.
Because it can be so overwhelming. Yeah.
Oh God. Well, life as well, right? I look at the washing up sometimes. Oh my God. And that when I remember having kids, younger kids, and holy moly, especially if they're near each other in age, my God.
Simple.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, funnily enough, I might go and do that myself.
Yeah.
After this, we'll be going off to try and find me in an advert with my balls in my face and watching me in a zombie film in India.
Your legacy, right there. Your 2 legacies.
Exactly.
I think it's wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you very, very much. Good luck, all. You guys rock. This is a brilliant thing you're doing.
Thank you so much for coming on.